family. If you like my video, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment. Your support means everything. Make sure to subscribe and follow so you never miss new updates, and hit that notification bell right down there to stay connected. Okay, let's grow this community together. Your one click makes a difference. Don't forget, make sure you hit share, drop a comment, follow, and subscribe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be discussing about the recent Chiroma Chris Ano saga that the government of Cameroon is trying to use against them, and also against the against Comrade Chris Ano. How the Chiroma communication link has tied to being something of a lawsuit, and how the government is trying to use that against Chiroma to break down his campaign, and his promise to to negotiate and apologize to the people of Southern Cameroon has been an issue of contention within the CPDM party. That is what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be looking at the legal side and the political implications of this relationship and the communication that Chiroma claims that Chris Ano had with him, right? The friendship, as he say, and that's what we're going to be looking at so that we can see all the coins, and we come back to that, okay? Stay tuned and we come back after this.
Let it be known, we free people shall stand over a beloved land of Ambazonia, to defend the laws, live for freedom in a nation where peace shall ever reign. Let our dawn bring us peace and love. Let the trumpets sound for a victory. We are God's chosen.
Thank you. So, when you look at the political trajectory now, Cameroon is at a crossroad, okay, owing to the fact that Chiroma has become a kind of suspicious potential candidate now, that the unexpected emerge of Chiroma is a pivotal of a political figure now, right? Uh, who is capable of unsettling the long-standing dominance of the Cameroon CPDM democratic movement, right? His recent acknowledgement of that communication is really something that the government is very concerned about. That has really ignited certain kind of controversy and curiosity within Yaoundé, right? And we are seeing that happening time and again when the government of Cameroon, the CPDM government, like what happened in 2018, is trying to repeat itself now. The question is, how did the election that happened in 2018 change Cameroon itself? Okay, and hopefully Chiroma has something different to offer to the people of Cameroon and also to the people of Southern Cameroon, right? Because we have seen how Paul Atayanji is trying to use that to his own benefit, trying to say Chiroma is communicating with a foreign power, and that's the Article 118 that they're trying to use on the Electoral Code, and they want to use against Chiroma. I'm going to go through my talking point, and we are going to discuss that and see how the legal implication about that, and how we're going to move forward, with that, okay? My talking point, okay. So make sure you share, and share, okay? The rise of Issa Tchiroma from loyalist to reformist threat. Issa Tchiroma Bakary's political journey is one of transformation and paradox. Once viewed as a staunch loyalist of President Paul Biya's regime, Chiroma has reinvented himself as a voice of reform, national dialogue, and reconciliation. His charisma, grassroots communication style, and ability to bridge ethnic and linguistic divides have earned him growing support, especially among young Cameroonians disillusioned with the decades of authoritarianism, stagnation. In a country where political opposition is often fragmented and co opted, Chiroma's surge represents a rare organic movement that transcends traditional party lines. His rhetoric on justice, dialogue, and national healing resonates strongly, particularly in the troubled southern Cameroon and Ambazonian regions. However, Chiroma's openness to engage with Ambazonian leaders, most notably Chris Ano, has drawn the ire of Yaoundé. In a political environment where even moderate calls for peace can be labeled as treason, his admission of communication with Ambazonian figures was quickly seized upon by regime loyalists as evidence of collusion. Yet, what Chiroma intended as a gesture of reconciliation has been reframed as a legal vulnerability. The government's use of Article 118 of the Electoral Code to challenge his candidacy reflects both fear of his influence and its dependence on weaponizing law as a political instrument. The Chris Ano connection and the legal backlash. Chris Ano and the spokesperson of the Ambazonian interim government and former president of the Ambazonian interim government has long been viewed by Yaoundé as one of the phases of the Ambazonian resistance movement. His media outreach and advocacy for Southern Cameroon's independence made him both a target and a symbol. Chiroma's acknowledgment of friendship and dialogue with Ano was therefore explosive. It challenged the regime's narrative that no legitimate Cameroonian could engage with terrorists. But more importantly, it exposed a profound contradiction within the government's own discourse. Barrister Emmanuel Salai's petition to disqualify Chiroma under Article 118 has, in effect, legally recognized Ambazonia as a foreign power. This is a remarkable shift from, for decades, Yaoundé's official line has been that Ambazonia does not exist as a sovereign entity, but merely a rebellious internal movement. Yet, by invoking the clause that forbids candidates from dealing with foreign powers, the regime has inadvertently legitimized the Ambazonian claim to distinct status. The lawsuit intended to destroy Chiroma's politically could instead become one of the strongest legal arguments for Ambazonian self-determination in years. Political strategy. CPDM's calculated response. The CPDM's response to Chiroma's particularly popularity follows a familiar authoritarian pattern. First, they attempt to discredit him publicly, portraying him as unstable or compromised. Second, they deploy the justice system to create legal obstacles, as seen in the ongoing lawsuit. Third, they manipulate electoral structures from the Constitutional Council to Elecam to ensure that even a disqualified or marginalized opposition figure cannot gain real traction. Finally, they use state media to blur public perception, turning genuine dialogue advocates into traitors or foreign agents. Paul Atanganji, the Minister of Territorial Administration, has been particularly active in executing this containment strategy. His rhetoric frames into any contact with the Ambazonian figures as a threat to national unity, even if he privately acknowledges the need for negotiation. Behind the scenes, Nji's network works to infiltrate Chiroma's campaign, plan narrative of division, and sow suspicion among supporters. The CPDM's goal is clear: prevent any alliance between moderate reformists or pro-federalist or Ambazonian elements which could form a powerful front against Biya's decaying rule. Rigging the future. How Biya's system protects itself. Paul Biya's government has masterminded the art of political survival through control, not consent. From ghost voters and ballot stuffing to selective disqualifications, Cameroon's election has long been choreographed exercises in maintaining the illusion of democracy. In 2025, with Biya at 92 and the questions swirling about succession, the stakes are higher than ever. Chiroma's rise threatened not just Biya's grip on power, but the entire CPDM structure that depends on it. Hence, the rigging does not start on election day. It begins months in advance through lawsuit, administrative denial, and narrative control. The use of legal tools such as Article 118 is part of a preemptive rigging process. By framing Chiroma's outrage as treasonous, the regime creates a pretext for his elimination from the ballot while maintaining a facade of legality. The form of judicial rigging is more sophisticated than overt ballot manipulation. It cloaks political persecution in constitutional language, yet it also reveals how fragile the CPDM's confidence has become. Instead of competing on ideas, the party resorts to silencing potential reformers before the public can even decide. The path forward between repression and renewal. Chiroma Chris Ano controversy symbolizes a deeper crossroad for Cameroon. On one hand, it exposes the regime's contradiction and desperation to sustain a collapsing system of centralized power. On the other, it opens a small but vital window for dialogue and reconciliation between divided communities. Chiroma's insistence that the Anglophone conflict cannot be solved by force reflects a growing recognition that peace will only come through political negotiation and mutual respect. This popularity shows that many Cameroonians, Francophones and Anglophones alike, are ready for a different kind of politics. However, the risk remains real. If Biya's regime succeeds in weaponizing the law against Chiroma, it will not only silence one man but also extinguish the hope for democratic renewal. Yet, if Chiroma's withstand this assault, he may emerge even stronger, a symbol of defense against tyranny. Either way, the struggle over his fate will be more than an electoral battle. It will be a referendum on Cameroon's political future and its unresolved colonial legacy between La République du Cameroon and Ambazonia. The regime may win the legal skirmish, but the moral and political tiding is shifting. History, not intimidation, will decide the outcome. Thank you for listening. That was my talking point there. And we have seen this continuous political propaganda against the candidates. You saw in 2018 what happened to Kamto. We saw in the previous years what happened to Frundi. We saw how the regime succeeded in silencing anybody that want to come up, like those ones that are languishing in jail as we speak. Okay, you may not understand how many people are in jail today just because they will try to rise against Paul Biya. Okay, and it's just terrible that you might not understand why Chiroma's candidacy cannot be barred from election just for acknowledging he knows Chris Ano. Okay, that is the legal discussion that we are having now, to see the 5 legal and constitutional points against disqualifying Issa Tchiroma's candidacy. They are using that discussion or the fact that Chris Ano has been talking with, you know, Chiroma, you know. But at the end of the day, when you hear what the discussion they had, Chris Ano was questioning him on certain issues, right? It wasn't that he was just talking to him behind the scene or something. You know, it was talking concerning. Okay, but let's listen first to Chris Ano. Then we'll come back to his discussion. Okay.
Quite close friends, or little did we know that the minister was going to say these things. How did you receive these videos that are now viral about Issa Tchiroma telling people or revealing to the world that you were one of his best friends?
Angie, thank you for inviting me to the show. As for the video with Issa Tchiroma, I really don't have much to say. To call me a close friend, I think is an overstatement. Yes, I have spoken to him on a good number of occasions, but to call me a close friend, I think he's speaking as the politician that we know. I had no idea of him going to Bamenda. I was surprised to see that clip, just as you were surprised seeing it. In fact, you forwarded to me. I had no idea that Issa Tchiroma was in Bamenda, wanting the people in Bamenda to believe. Chris Ano, gave him permission and protection to be in Bamenda again. That is just an overstatement. I had no idea he was having a campaign in Bamenda. Having said that, I would say that I've had quite a number of discussions with him. I've also had quite a number of discussions with the daughter. I actually had the daughter on my show last week, and we had an elaborate question and answer session in which I asked the daughter whatever question that anybody interested in the political game in Cameroon would love to hear, and I think she was frank in providing the answers to her ability. For the father, I just cannot tell who he is. I don't think he has changed much from being the Chiroma, the communication minister.
Yeah, so you just heard Comrade Chris Ano just mention about his, discussion. Being in the capacity of a president or communication secretary, just like Chiroma, you are the spokesperson of the government. You are the person that has to go with contacting person, talk to different people. Okay, because information about the government, you are there, at the forefront of discussions that happens with the government, right? So Chris Ano was that person that always goes out there and come back with information, go out there, come back with information. Okay, who knew that Chris Ano started the Swiss-led negotiation process? It's not Cameroon that started Swiss-led negotiation process. It was Comrade Chris Ano. He brought that to the government, and we at the cabinet, we had to send our representative to the Swiss-led negotiation process before Cameroon had to join the Swiss-led negotiation process. So, talking to people, talking to your enemy, like they say, is not bad, right? Because in a time of war, you must still end up talking to your enemy and sit on the same table to negotiate. So there is no way you can go round and round and round and avoid somebody that you are fighting with. Okay, how do you end this? How do you end the war without sitting with that enemy and negotiate? It will never be. Okay, you guys will still have to sit down in one way or the other. So any discussion that Chris Ano was trying to do there was about how to look for avenues of negotiation. Okay, I've worked with Chris Ano in many instances since from the days of Seseko. I was part of the communication department, so I know him very well. I know how dedicated he is to this struggle. So some people might not know him personally. I know him personally. We always call, we talk about the struggle. So I know the sacrifices he has made from the time he lost his brother, Phil Masha, to the time the parents were locked up, all along the years, how he lost his wife during this same period. So it's not something that we just take, for granted, But all along the years, we have seen all that happen and people. So let's listen to a little bit of interview that Chris Ano had with Issa Tchiroma during the time of this crisis, okay? And tell me if that is friendship that you can say about friendship, right? He is not, he did not talk to Issa Tchiroma like friend. He was asking about the fight going on, how the military are, are killing our people and so on and so forth. Okay, listen to him.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Chiroma. Good morning, sir. This is Chris. Chris, I know with the Cameroon journal.
Chris, vous ne pouvez pas parler en français. Vous êtes Camerounais, non?
Well, Mr. Minister, I don't understand French. I know very little of French. I know you're trying to get me do what I can't. But Mr. Minister, I am calling you because of what is going on in the southern Cameroons. The police, the gendarmes, the army from Yaoundé, they are out in the streets in Biya, in Bamenda, in Mamfe, in Ndop. In every place you can imagine, they are breaking into houses, pulling young people out, shooting them in their legs. If you like the images, I can send them to you. What is your government doing to stop this kind of carnage, official carnage, sir?
Mr. Chris, I am sorry. When I make a statement, it is on behalf of the government. On behalf of the government. So when you raise such an issue for which I don't have at all the proof of your statement, no single word can be said by me to answer your question. Before I speak on behalf of the government, I have to receive facts from the minister empowered in his department to analyze the situation and to let me know what is taking place.
So if you listen to what Comrade Chris Ano was asking Tchiroma, it was about the struggle, about the killing, the atrocities that the Cameroon government has been committing on our people. It has nothing to do with privately negotiating something, right? This was about the struggle, about the killing, about what is the Cameroon government doing to stop their military from killing the people of Southern Cameroon. So I don't understand how this discussion that Chris Ano has been having with Tchiroma has to do with something else, right? It was about the struggle. It's that hard questions to the government. Then Issa Tchiroma was the communication minister. Don't forget, he wasn't any private citizen as he is now, right? He was a communication minister. So he was an insider of the government. But Chris Ano did not stop to call him and call him out. You are a member. But as Tchiroma has always been, he is trying to move himself from the being part of the government or being part of the problem. Okay? He said he's only he does but that's how the Biya regime has always been. The government ministers, they can be more than 30 ministers in that government, but only about 5 that Biya talked to. I saw one video of Jean de Momo. He is one of the minister of assistant minister of justice. They are asking him, how many times since you have been appointed, how many times have you spoken to Paul Biya? He will ramble, go up and down, trying to. The journalist said, Mr. Momo, it's a simple question. Have you spoken to Paul Biya? He said, look. He must not speak to Paul Biya. He will ramble the question, go round and round, trying to avoid the question. Because not every minister talk to Paul Biya. And even before Tchiroma resigned, Tchiroma made that clear that he cannot be as a minister. And he has been for almost 5 years. He has not seen the president. He has not spoken to Paul Biya. He doesn't know where the country is going to. Those were one of the reasons why he resigned as minister, right? You are a minister, but you don't talk to Paul Biya. You don't know what is happening. For almost 10 years, Biya has never set foot in all the 10 regions. Almost 10 years. This time that is election, that's when he went to Marwa now. I already heard that when he went to Marwa, whatever. The northern region. But imagine, you declare war on a people. You have never set foot for 9 years of that war. You have not set foot in one of those 2 regions. You call them 2 cubes of sugar. But you have not seen, then there's no sign of empathy. I don't want to call it sympathy. Empathy of, hey, these people. And his campaign has nothing to do with that. To even give way forward of how to resolve the crisis. But when Tchiroma and other leaders, other presidential hopeful are trying to suggest how they want to solve the problem, it's a problem. It's a problem. But Tchiroma has always been the one among all the other candidates that has something to do with trying to tell the people of Southern Cameroon that he will do something to resolve the problem. Okay? But Biya want to remain in power. The CPDM people want to remain in power, but they have no plans to solve the problem. They just want to stay in power, keep the people in bondage, not solving the Anglophone or Southern Cameroon crisis, just continue another 7 years of hardship, 7 years of suffering. And to them it's normal. But this is what Issa Tchiroma said when he was asked about the Anglophone crisis.
Issa Tchiroma, as an Anglophone affected by the 9-year war in the Northwest and Southwest region, I want to know, if you become president, what concrete steps will you take in your first year to bring a permanent and inclusive and peaceful resolution to the Anglophone crisis? How will you ensure justice for victims and rebuild a trust between the state and its people?
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. This is a very painful problem, which ought to have been solved very long time. What is taking place today is completely wrong. How many lives have been destroyed? How many property have been destroyed? It is completely wrong. From day one, I want to grant amnesty to all political prisoners involved in this unacceptable and absurd fight which is taking place in the Northwest and Southwest. This is undermining the future of our nation. The reason why I am favorable to come back to federalism, since day one, I want to have people, very knowledgeable people in this domain, to undertake whatever is useful in order to help us to tell us what kind of federalism is suitable to our nation, given the fact that today we are in desperate need. This war is wrong. It has to be brought to an end. It is possible to make it, provided that what I'm going to do, I have to organize a round table. We have to strategize it. We have to bring together all of those who in one way or other are involved in the process. Let them be today in prison or out of the country. What I want to do is to brainstorm this problem. Let us sit round the table, listen to each other. This nation is not property for one person. This is a common property. We have to listen to each other, sit round the table and listen. What went wrong? How did this problem started? Can you recall when I was Minister of Communication? I was among those who said that there was no Anglophone problem because I was in the...
Yeah, so you've heard of at least there is some idea of trying to solve the problem, right? If you hear from the questioning, you hear the guy was talking about what concrete step can you take? How can you ensure that there will be trust? That how do you ensure justice be done on the people of Southern Cameroon? How do you want to, because that lack of trust is something that we have seen along the years, right? Where the Biya regime has no sense of trust, not iota of trust. Because you go and do something you call national dialogue. You just carry your CPDM people and go and sit in Yaoundé there and you call that a dialogue. That's a monologue. Dialogue is when you go and sit among CPDM people. That's monologue. It has nothing to do with dialogue. Dialogue is between two different adversaries, right? Or negotiation. But no matter what anybody say, Chiroma is having at least that sense of at least life lost, the destruction of property along the 9 years, and all those aspects that at least is appreciative. We're all humans, right? If somebody accept mistake, we go to that direction and say, oh, this person has acknowledged. Okay, I'm telling you, if you have problem with anybody, even if you are right, go and apologize to somebody. That person will say, hey, man, this guy is really, you must not be right to apologize. You must not be wrong to apologize. But if you be the first to apologize when you and somebody have a problem, that person will consider you as a very nice person, because that's why it's just like having a problem with your wife at home, right? Sometimes you accept that you are wrong, just to settle the problem, right? So it's the same thing. Chiroma went to Bamenda, he acknowledges the mistake of the government. And Chiroma's statement has just pinpointed what the government direction is. The government is just adamant to solve the problem. The government knows the real problem, but they don't want to solve the problem. Then they prefer to just keep the problem there. Spending money. You know how much money this government spends just to keep the military in Ambazonian? How much money do they spend? How much money have they spent? Do the Cameroon people ask questions? Can the Cameroon people even protest and say, please stop this war? We are losing, we lose a lot of money. This money is our money. The government spend by your money. You have to question the government. Okay, for the past 9 years, give us a country rendu. How much money have you spent in that war? You have bad roads. You have poor transport network. You have poor infrastructures. You have poverty, unemployment. All those things, the economy is going down. Prices of goods are skyrocketing. You don't question the government. What do you expect? The government will keep doing what they're doing wrong and expect any different result. There's no different result that can come from wrong decisions, right? Mismanagement, right? They'll keep using your money. It's your money. The government don't have any other money. It's the taxpayers' money that the government is used for any project that they are doing. You have to hold them accountable. And that's why you have the decision, like any other country. If the government doesn't use your money judiciously, if the government doesn't have strategy to make the economy go well, bring jobs, do all that, you have to change that government. Cameroonians have to take the bull by the horn. Don't be afraid. Take the bull by the horn. Change that government. Because you are doing that since Ambazonians rose up in 2016, 2017. Ambazonians are not turning back. Ambazonians are not turning back. Since then, there is ghost town every Monday. What does that tell you? The people are resisting. The lockdown this time is 1 month. The whole place is locked down because the people want change. You have to sacrifice. Don't allow this government to hold you like that, spellbound. Change is hard. Change is difficult, but you have to sacrifice like any other country. You can look for visas, go to different countries, all those things. But home is home. Home is home. And we have traveled to so many countries. And we enjoy the democratic life. We enjoy the life they are living. Why? But go and read the history of those countries. Tell me which country did not fight war. No one country is enjoying today that did not fight their own war of independence. But you see people, you go, I want to fall bush, I want to run. They already fought their own wars and fixed their countries. Yes. They did, and they are happy today. People's life has been lost. Blood has been shed on that land. They sacrificed to have a good life. So people can say what they want because they want to take shortcuts, and those shortcuts don't do anything. We had this same election in 2018. What happened in 2018? Kamto won, right? Did they give Kamto? Think of it. And this guy is trying to tell you what they will do. This guy is an insider in La Republique. He is telling you how they want to manipulate the election this time around. And you know what they have been doing. It's not new, right? But he's telling you what they want to do. They want to take, Pobia will be the first candidate that won. They'll put Cabral Libi or Bele Buba second. They'll put Cabral Libi third. Put Issa Tchiroma number 4th so that he cannot argue. You see, that's how they want to manipulate the election. Take a listen to him.
La proclamation des résultats. Ils ont proclamé, ils ont préparé que ils vont proclamer Biya vainqueur, légèrement vainqueur, et Bello Bouba deuxième, Cabral Libi troisième, et Issa Tchiroma quatrième. C'est ce que nous avons comme information. En fait, pour empêcher à Issa Tchiroma la possibilité de revendiquer quoi que ce soit. Parce qu'en même temps que Issa Tchiroma peut revendiquer, on va amener Cabral Libi à revendiquer lui aussi. Et Bello Bouba, lui, va reconnaître la victoire de Biya. Et c'est comme ça que, dans ce qu'ils ont donc programmé, Bello Bouba sera nommé Premier ministre avec une douzaine de ministres qu'il devrait amener au gouvernement. Donc, ça c'est le deal. que nous avons, selon des informations que nous avons, qui lui a été proposé. Et je pense même que le déplacement de Bello Bouba à Ebolova,
Déplacement qui a été
avec
perturbé.
tout ce qui entoure tout ce qu'on on a vu, on empêche Bello Bouba d'entrer à Ebolova, tout ça est préparé depuis le cabinet civil. Parce qu'en fait, il faut amener l'électorat à avoir de la compassion, aller provoquer la compassion de l'électorat pour soutenir Bello Bouba. Ça va créer la révolte. Pourquoi on empêche à Bello Bouba d'entrer à Ebolova? Donc, comme c'est comme ça, nous allons soutenir Bello Bouba. En fait, c'est ça. Tout ça est préparé depuis le cabinet civil. Et même, dans le même cabinet civil, des instructions ont été données à la chaîne, à la CRTV, de diffuser les meetings de Issa.
So you get the politics, right? You get the politics. He is saying that they plan to make Biya the first candidate. Everything's already arranged. Everything's already, just like what they did to Frundi along the years, they did to Kamto, you know, everything has been arranged. They'll make Biya the number one. They'll make Bello Bouba number two. Okay? Then who counted? Not Issa Tchiroma, because they know that he has that. They'll make Cabral Libi number three. In the result, this is about the presidential election I'm talking about. Then who come forth? Issa Tchiroma. Then the rest will come in any order. So they already prepared it. Then what he's saying is that Bello Bouba now, okay, that they will let somebody like Cabral Libi start contesting the election, because now Issa Tchiroma number 4 that will not have any weight to really contest the election, right? So he's number 4. They'll say, no, you are number 4. Because if they make him second, he can contest that. He won there, he won. But they want to put him number 4 so that he has no voice to even contest the election. That's the plan. This guy is an insider. He's a former top commissioner, but he's now abroad. So he gets a lot of information now from there. So he is very good at digging information from the government. But he's on exile. He traveled, so he's out of country. He can say anything now. He doesn't care. Okay, but that is the plan. And they say now Bello Bouba they will make Bello Bouba the prime minister. Then Bello Bouba now will have that chance of bringing in 10 ministers to join with the CPDM. You see, so that is what the system will be for the next 7 years. Tell me now, if we have election in Ambazonia, right? For example, what are we gaining from the system? Rather than being spectators, then people are deciding on your future. People are deciding on your resources. People are deciding on everything on your own life. You see, they already make everything planned. There is no arrangement for Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia in their progress, in their program, right? Nothing for you. But you go now and say, oh, I want to vote. How does the voting benefit you as a people? That's the question you have to ask yourself, because we have seen that in all the election. I voted for SDF back then. We saw no change because our vote were not even counted. It was all useless because Frundi won that election, but they used repressive way to quell down. SDF members were arrested back then. They were tortured, beaten, just repressive regime style. That's how SDF was made to quell down, and some of them now were bought over even as CPDM has never won in certain areas. Bamenda, even certain areas in Yaoundé, Douala, SDF was the one winning. But yet, the government has used that repressive style, to bring down all this opposition. Some were bought over. That's how the SDF just died down like this. Okay. Now, if you look at the election along the years, the CPDM win all the seats until Biya started appointing SDF parliamentarians. You saw the other day, Atanganji was introducing one of the SDF parliamentarians. That is Biya that appointed him. How do you run a country like that? When one party... Okay, before 1990, remember, there was one party system. Aijo banned all parties. Paul Biya came and continued with this party. CPDM used to be called CNU. CPDM changed from CNU to CPDM. Okay? But it was one party. It's SDF that came and broke that one party system. But it was not easy. People had to lose their life for Biya to accept two parties or multi-party system. But it's still the Anglophones or the Ambazonians or the Southern Cameroonians that fought for multi-party system to come to Cameroon. Lives were lost in Bamenda. Lives were lost in Boya. Lives were lost in Kumba before Biya had to accept multi-party system. It wasn't easy. So along the years, we grew up fighting for every single thing that the people of Southern Cameroon want. Every single thing. Fight before Biya accept. So this fight is something that we already know that this is the only way to do something to that regime, to hear you. Because even now, they are not ready for federal system. But yet Chiroma is even mentioning federation. But yet, they are not still ready for that federation. The Grand National Dialogue, they went there and they were discussing the decentralization. Decentralization. And to them, decentralization doesn't mean that our people will even control anything. Decentralization means that they'll go and put that thing that they say, House of Chiefs. That's all. To them, that's decentralization. But Yaoundé will still control everything. So what are you decentralizing there? To go and put fake House of Chiefs? The former House of Chiefs that we had back in Southern Cameroon was a House of Chiefs that passed laws. They were not just sitting there and eating achu. They were not just sitting there and drinking palm wine and say they are in the House of Chiefs. It's laughable, right? The House of Chiefs back then was a second house. There was a house that was the parliamentarians. The second house was the House of Chiefs. It means that they have to discuss the laws. So chiefs were not just people who go and wear kaba and they ask them go and march. How do you expect House of Chiefs to go and be marching back then? Aijo never had that guts to ask for Nangwafo to go to Yaoundé, to go and do in Yaoundé. Aijo came right to the palaces of those funds. Aijo never had that guts to ask for Nangwafo or for to come to Yaoundé. To where? Since when did Fon left their palace? They have diminished everything. So what is happening today is not something that you have to even think of. It's unheard of. Okay? It's unheard of. And things are going now the way that they're looking at Issa Tchiroma that to come and bring some kind of change according to the people. But if they want change, the Cameroonese people have to bring that change. Because for Ambazonians, the resistance continues. Ambazonians are not stopping anytime soon. Because this is the only way the government of that regime of Biya has taught us along the years. This resistance did not start now. Our forebears started this resistance long ago. AAC 1, all Anglophone conference had this all Anglophone conference back then. In the 90s, they had another and when they go to these all Anglophone conferences, the Anglophone people back then, they will come now with a resolution. If you read to that Anglophone conference, their resolution back then, this is in the 90s, they'll come and give to Biya. The majority of the resolutions were, we need roads, we need this, we need to go back to the constitution to amend those constitution. We need to go back to the federal system. They were begging for federation, begging. Did Biya listen to them? You had all Anglophone Conference 1, all Anglophone Conference 2, all Anglophone Conference 3. Nothing came out from those things. So it's not today that you go and be begging again. You beg all your life. You beg all your life. Nothing will come from there. That regime has taught us that begging. You remember the NCNC, right? The NCNC today is the major political party or political entity that still defend our rights, right? When it comes to the argument, the force of argument. But yet, the NCNC suffered many arrests, detentions, lockup, mistreatment. So many SDF leaders went on exile. Yeah, so many. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. They use that argument. They won so many constitutional battles, right? They went right to the United Nations. They won in the African Charter. They won so many different battles. But did Biya respect any of those things? No. Biya never respected those things. So tell me, if they said these people are hardliners, or they don't want to go to negotiation, or these people, is the way the government is. Even diplomats have let the government know that the military option is not the best. Go to negotiate. Okay? So, how do you blame the Ambazonian leaders today? They went for Switzerland negotiation, Biya run. They went for Canada negotiation, Biya run. So how do you blame them? What do you want them to do? So that is where we are today. So do not blame the people of Ambazonians for taking this drastic action now. Because that government has taught us this is the way, this is the only way out. If you take the other way around, you will never bring this government to negotiation table. Never. That's why if these ministers don't care, American Senate, American House of Representatives, for the past years, they are discussing about the Anglophone crisis in their parliament. EU discusses in their parliament. The United Nations is discussing this in their parliament, this crisis. But the Cameroon regime has banned any discussion. Imagine how wicked. Then you tell me that these people want to solve the problem? They don't want to solve the problem. Because someone that wants to solve the problem will not ban any discussion, right? When somebody like Honorable Wiba brought up this, they say no. They don't want to solve the problem. Because if you want to solve a problem, so you listen to, see how they silence other people. They have silenced every other person that want to bring up this thing. Okay. Even Issa Tchiroma, who is trying to say, okay, I will talk with the people, talk with this. They say, okay, you are talking with a foreign power. Then they are trying to use an article 118, to penalize him, to penalize Issa Tchiroma just for talking with Chris Arnold. It's because the government don't have plans to resolve the problem. So anybody that want to resolve the problem, they try to use lawsuit against Tchiroma, but it will not work because the level at which Tchiroma is now, the mistake the Yaoundé regime will do is to try and do what they did to Kamto. If the Yaoundé regime want problem now, let them try and do what they did to Kamto. Then they'll see that their house, that small house in Etudi, they'll take out that house down, because the pressure that they have now, the support Issa Tchiroma has now, is not what they did to Kamto. Yes. But that's why, if you see our people taking this drastic action today, no election in Ambazonia, it's because the previous election had nothing to help us. And even this one, imagine Issa Tchiroma wins, he will name a prime minister again, right? And will stay like that. Prime minister, what is all that? And what change do we have in Ambazonia? So the election is just illegal in Ambazonia. There's no foreign election in our land. Our people want total, okay? Total independent, because we have realized that anything that is short of independence, we don't trust these people, okay? Our forebears have been fooled for many years. The Fumban Conference, all the 1972 referendum, all these things, the constitutional change, the switch from the federal system to all these things is gradual assimilation of our people, culture, everything. And you are seeing that happening in your eyes. And you still say, no, let's go and beg for federation. Let's go and beg. We have been begging all our life. Begging. We have become original beggars now in Yaoundé. Most of our elites, they are there in Yaoundé begging. They are waiting for positions, begging for crumbs. Whereas 8 million people, go and check the statistics. 8 million. How many countries has 8 million people? Even Israel don't have 8 million. How many people does Israel even have? Check neighboring countries. All the neighboring countries, how many population do they have? Equatorial Guinea don't even have 3 million people here. But it's a country. Gabon, how many people? How many? But Cameroon and Southern Cameroon, they don't want to grant our independence, full recognition. So that is where we are today. But our people should learn that resistance is the only way. Any other way, you keep begging all your life. Thank you, and God bless the people of Southern Cameroon. Let's keep going, okay? Never you back down. Thank you, and God bless you.
Let it be known, we free people shall stand over a beloved land of Ambazonia to defend the laws live for freedom in a nation where peace shall ever reign. Let our dawn bring us peace and love. Let the trumpet sound for
watching. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like, share, and comment. If you really, it really helps for you to spread the message, spread the word, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there and follow button. So never you miss out on any fresh content that I share. Hit that notification bell so that you get all the update and be part of this amazing community. Your support makes all the difference. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more wonderful content as you watch Fitz Misodi. Thank you.